know! We know! We know! We know!
For a few months, protesters have gathered outside Anderton Park Primary School in Birmingham. They shout, "Let kids be kids," and "Head teacher step down." Often a megaphone or PA system is used. During the shouting, signs are displayed with "Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve" printed on them. The protests happen as children leave and parents arrive at the end of the school day. Some local parents have felt under pressure to join in. The protesters are upset as they think the school has told children it's okay to be gay and you can have two mummies. Although I have hidden it, at the bottom of this leaflet is the phone number of Shakil Afsar. Shakil is the protest organiser, despite not having any of his own children at the school. I contacted Shakil and he invited me to join his WhatsApp group. In that group, I learned of a second WhatsApp group for other Anderton Park protesters, which I also joined. To give you an idea of what these groups are like, here are some of the messages that have been sent. This first comment was made a few days before Birmingham Pride. It's worth noting that no group member challenged any of those messages. On the 20th of May, a small group of people tied love hearts with messages on them to the gates of the school. Shakil Afsar became aware of this, recorded them, and then sent these two videos to all members of his WhatsApp group.
They've chosen the night time to do this protest, and it seems quite elusive that why they've come at the night time. They've put banners up against the school, LGBT flags.
And then this happened.
That was another egg.
Yeah,
we want to leave, but we're a bit scared.
You're absolutely fine. They can't do it. All they're going to do is shout at you. Okay, and that's it.
Chuck eggs.
Shakil often shouts, "We will not back down," at the protests. And that's what was shouted here, along with "Don't fucking come back." When asked about the incident on Twitter, Shakil replied, "No comment." Shakil has also stated that some local councillors should expect a knock on the door unless they get involved. The school found out that an especially large protest was being organised for the 24th of May. People from elsewhere in the country had been invited. The protest was due to start at 2:30 p.m. To keep the children and parents safe, the school decided to close at midday, as that would give children the chance to get home a couple of hours before the protesters arrived. The police and council were informed. At 11:30 a.m, this message was sent out via WhatsApp. The protest was to start immediately with no notice given, and while the children were still inside of the building. Around 300 protesters gathered around the front of the school building. During the next video clip, you'll see Shakil Afsar in the green shirt personally introduce one of the invited speakers.
Invite next Maulana Saab, who's drove all the way from Batley. He's seen a small message and he said, "I'm coming straight away." He actively started to recruit people to come as well, and I would like to bring him on.
Shakil, quick flushes! Quick flushes, that's all we can do! Because there's paedophiles in there! There are paedophiles in there. Put half of it up. Give it here. Give it here. Paedophiles in there. This is a paedophilia agenda.
And a few minutes later he shouts,
Gender identity can't have children. The can't have children. The others can't have children. How are we going to have children? Oh, I get it. You want our children. Yeah.
this is not a peaceful protest. On the 31st of May, Birmingham City Council obtained an injunction against the protesters. This injunction does not stop them protesting, but forces them to be a few streets away from the school when they do it. Shaquille became aware of the injunction and told his followers that he would challenge it. Fair enough. But then Shaquille became the team leader for a GoFundMe campaign in which he asked for £50,000 for legal fees. Shaquille often claims that parents are being ignored by the school, but that's untrue. Here are 4 letters which show the head teacher inviting parents to meetings to discuss any concerns they have. There has even been a message in the school's newsletter inviting parents to get in touch. Around 60 meetings have occurred between the school and parents already, and yet Shaquille continues to tell people to attend his protests and has twice told parents to keep their children at home.
We're not sending our children into school today. If the school calls you and says you have to send them in, say we're protesting, it's our right to protest, and if they want to write you a letter, say write me a letter. The school are intimidating like they did last night.
In an attempt to resolve the issue, Birmingham City Council, Anderton Park and the protesters agreed to use Nazir Afzal as a mediator in the dispute. Nazir is well qualified for this role. He had been the head of the Crown Prosecution Service in North West England and was Chief Executive of the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners. After meeting with all sides, he made these comments.
I've looked at the curriculum. There is nothing in the curriculum that's LGBT specific. There is nothing about gay sex. I've seen people walking around outside of that school with stuff that they have downloaded from the internet suggesting that this is on the curriculum, this is what is being taught to their children. It's a lie. When I met with the parents, my attention was drawn to 2 books, that's all. One involving 2 male penguins in an egg, which one parent said was forcing LGBT down our children's throats. I disagree, but nonetheless, that's what she feels. The other was about a book was about a boy who chooses to dress up as a princess. That's it, nothing else. On both occasions, when the book is given to a child, it's qualified with this message. Some people may not agree with this, even though it's permitted by the law of the land, but it's best you discuss this with your parents to find out what they think. I cannot fault the school in their approach.
The LGBT inclusive education which happens at Anderton Park and many schools just means that there will be a few books with gay characters, and when appropriate the class might talk about gay people. It's just that. This teaches the children that gay people exist before someone else teaches them to be homophobic. Here is an example of LGBT inclusive education. It's the true story of 2 male penguins who fall in love and raise a baby penguin together. That's it. The book doesn't even feature the word gay. A few days ago, lesbian couple Melania and Chris were sitting on a London bus together. A group of young men threw coins at them and told them to kiss each other. When they refused, the men beat them, and they became victims of a homophobic attack. Just like this 15-year-old boy. And this 18-year-old boy who was called a fucking gay queer before being beaten. And Neil. And this attack along the River Thames, and Erhan, and these 2 groups of 2 men, and this man who has a fractured skull, and another man with a fractured foot, and this man dragged to the floor by a group of 6 men, and Sammy, and Tommy, and these 3 men in their early 20s, and Steve, and this man attacked by 5 different men, and this woman from Birmingham, and these 3 men, and this man who now has nerve damage, and Blair Wilson, who, minutes after being beaten in public, smiled and took this selfie. And each of those examples were from the last 12 months. And this is why LGBT inclusive education is vital, especially for the children of those protesters.
Children who need to be taught to respect traditional moral values are being taught that they have an inalienable right to be gay. All of those children are being cheated of a sound start in life. Yes, cheated.